Free agency is nearly upon us. The trade market is heating up. All kinds of things going on around the NBA. We're going to jump through some of the latest news and rumors. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. And don't forget to turn on those notifications as well. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, it's already been. We had a trade happen already today. Weirdly, for the Chicago Bulls, trading Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro. But a busy time right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The NBA is just heating up, man.
Yeah, let's go. So lots of stuff going on. We'll talk a little bit more about that Cavs-Bulls deal in just a minute. But first, the Celtics reportedly wanted a haul for Derrick White, setting a very high asking price. We knew this was going to be the case. Boston may not be done dealing at this point, although they have moved enough money to where they're in a much better situation financially now in terms of the aprons. But check this out. This is from Jake Fisher. Said they wanted a Mikal Bridges type package to part with Derrick White. So we're talking like 5 first-round picks for Derrick White. I mean, I guess if Des Bane got 4 firsts, maybe they're not crazy, but obviously price wasn't getting met.
That's great. Like these ones are crazy because a lot of what these two, even the Bane one too, like there's context you could put, but the Bridges one is just like, how bad do you want him? Right. Like it's like how many of those are actually Bridges value? Like 2, maybe 3, but like it's like how much do you want him? So that's kind of the situation that the Celtics are in. Guys keep calling for their players. They're like, hey, we don't actually want to give this guy up, but just wondering how badly do you actually want him? Right.
Well, and ironically, the Celtics can point to the Bridges trade and say, hey, the Knicks wanted him. They knew they needed him in order to beat us. And guess what? That's exactly what they did in the playoffs. It worked for them, right?
Right.
So, therefore, if you think Derrick White is that guy that's going to put you over the top, you're going to have to pay the price. You're going to have to give us the treasure trove of assets. Now, Derrick White, $28 million, $30 million, $22 million, and then $34 million under the books. I'm sorry, $32 million, and then $34 million under the books. That's a lot of money for the future, but he's such a great plug-and-play guard that can fit in just about any backcourt that I could see why a lot of teams would be interested in him, but obviously that asking price not going to be met for Boston. They may not be done, but I do wonder if this getting out there, this being the requirement in order to trade even just Derrick White, makes me wonder what's Jaylen Brown going to cost to get. I think pretty clear. The Celtics are sending the message that, look, we're not going to hang up the phone here. We'll listen, but we're not really going to trade this guy.
Yeah. It sounds like extremely unserious is what it is. And that's fine, right? Like if they don't want to give him up. But I mean, I just pulled up the trade. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 firsts, a swap, a second. Like that's for Mikal. That's a lot, man. Like if they want to trade like that, then it's like you got to woo us, right? So yeah, it seems unserious. I don't blame them for not wanting to trade their guy. Derrick White is a guy that's highly coveted around the league, and I think most teams would love to get him, especially locked up on a deal already, not having to deal with that too. And I think he's a guy that you can basically put on any team in the NBA and say, well, he's gonna be that piece for us to go to the next level. I don't know if obviously he's gonna make a middling team somehow a contender, but if you're a team that's already like right there,
exactly,
and you add a Derrick White, man, that could put you right over the top. It's exactly what happened with Caruso, where you add a Caruso and all of a sudden you're the champion the next year, right?
Exactly.
So there's other things that need to happen, internal growth, etc. If you're looking at OKC, but that's what the pitch is from Boston. Like, hey, if you want our guys, you need to really make it happen for us.
Now, meanwhile, Boston already made a couple of moves. They did add Anthony Simons in that deal with the Blazers. I called it an absolute heist for the Celtics in that deal with the Blazers. I think they completely fleeced them. They actually got the Blazers to give them second-round draft capital in exchange for Drew Holiday by getting Anthony Simons. They got the 26-year-old Simons on an expiring contract in exchange for a 35-year-old Drew Holiday with 3 years left under contract. Incredible deal for the Boston Celtics. But now Anthony Simons may not stay with the Boston Celtics. They may be looking to actually flip him. Could be retraded after being acquired from the Blazers. And there are some rumblings that he could wind up in Chicago. Now, I believe it was Brett Siegel had this, maybe a flip of Anthony Simons for Nikola Vucevic with the Chicago Bulls, and Vucevic would step into that Porzingis role that could be interesting for the Boston Celtics and potentially save even more salary because obviously Anthony Simons is a guy that the Celtics are going to have to pay, or whoever has him will have to pay either right now in an extension or after the season.
I mean, that's a totally Chicago Bulls type move, isn't it? Adding another guard to your team. That I don't necessarily. I don't think you absolutely. You've already got a problem with Io, Gideon, and Kobe White. Like, I don't know if you should be targeting Anthony, especially if you're going to pay him long term. To me, I think maybe you try to look elsewhere for a piece that actually fits what you're doing. You kind of got rid of a guard earlier today, and to me, while I like Anthony, I just don't know if that's the decision you make. But I will say, Anthony's in the age range with some of those guys, and if you feel like maybe he's the guy over one of the others, then sure.
Well, I mean, the one thing to remember too is like stylistically, the Bulls like to play fast, shoot a bunch of threes. Anthony Simons plays fast, shoots a ton of threes, so he fits in that way. But you're right, the Bulls just shedded one of their guards in Lonzo Ball, and again, I don't think that trade necessarily made sense for the Chicago Bulls. Like, you couldn't get any they keep doing these trades and not getting any draft capital out of them. They just did it again with Lonzo Ball. I mean, how quickly did the Cavs say yes to removing the extra year and over $10 million of salary off their books with Isaac?
They're going to do this trade and be the ones giving up the first round pick in the deal.
Exactly. Right. The Bulls will do the trade to get Anthony Simons, and they'll send a first to the Boston Celtics for him. You know that's going to happen. But maybe something with Vucevic. It makes sense for the Celtics because Vuce, look, contractually, he's on a bigger deal right now. He's making over $20 million, but you know he's not going to cost that into the future. Yeah. Obviously, he's getting up there in years. 35 years old, $21.4 million. No way in hell he's getting that next year. So if the Celtics are trying to rein in their long-term salary, this could be a way, if they don't believe Anthony Simons is the long-term fit for them in a backcourt with Derrick White, on a team with Jason Tatum, with a team with Jaylen Brown. If they don't think Simons is that long-term fit, this would be a way to maintain some future flexibility while getting a guy back that would fit a familiar role by being a big that can step out and shoot. They could run a lot of the same stuff for Vucevic that they used to for Porzingis. So maybe there is some truth to it, but man, Bulls fans, I'm scared for what you might do in this trade.
That's my assessment as well. Like, it's a familiar guy if you were to get Vucevic, and I think maybe you could cut that salary in half, or maybe 2/3 of it, you know, by the time that it comes time to extend him. And he's a guy that I think you could have on the team the following year when you got Jason back and you're trying to just pivot towards going back to being a championship contender and all that stuff. So I like the pickup personally, aside from the fact that he's 35. They've got Horford, who's like 38. They just kind of got a lot of old guys there, but, you know, I think they could figure it out. But for the Bulls, like I said, I wouldn't do it personally.
All right, and then flipping over to the Cavs now, who were part of that trade, obviously, with Chicago. That trade is looked at right now as proof that Ty Jerome is probably out in Cleveland. Meanwhile, Sam Merrill stays on a 3-year, $38 million deal. By the way, the reason why we're seeing some of these deals come through, Davion Mitchell's deal, Sam Merrill's deal, the Naz Reid deal that Keith Smith and I talked about last night, it's because teams are allowed to negotiate with their own free agents right now. You can't negotiate with other teams' free agents until 6 p.m. Eastern time on June 30th. And I'll tell you this, Donnie, no team ever breaks that rule. We would never do it. They would never do something as dastardly and underhanded as negotiating with another team's free agent. Nope, never happened in the NBA ever at all.
Yeah, I think you said it best. It's never happened before. So I guess, you know, there's always a first for something. But no, in all seriousness, the NBA is to a point where, like, if you're not doing that stuff, you're behind.
Oh, you're behind.
You have, like, they already know who they're signing at this point. They've probably already known for a week, maybe more. Like, you know, you're behind because everyone else is doing it. So you can't be the only one trying to play by the rules. So it is what it is.
So in Cleveland, Lonzo Ball is essentially going to replace Ty Jerome in the backcourt there, which, you know, not bad. The Cavs are very quickly getting to be a very, very expensive team. I believe right now they're projected to be the second most expensive team in the NBA. So look, this Cavs team, they're spending a lot of money. They are the favorite right now, betting-wise, to come out of the Eastern Conference. And Eastern Conference that we've characterized, and many, many others have as well, as being wide open. But the Cavs were phenomenal last season. They just struggled in the playoffs. They're looking to make another run this next year. And Ty Jerome, though, does not look like he'll be part of it. He's going to be a cap casualty here. So his free agency will be one to keep an eye on. There's a number of teams that he might make sense for. He joins a guard class, including guys like D'Angelo Russell, Malcolm Brogdon, some veterans. Dennis Schroeder is reportedly in high demand. In fact, Dennis Schroeder is now being strongly linked with the Sacramento Kings, just as D'Angelo Russell is being strongly linked with the Dallas Mavericks, a taxpayer mid-level for D'Angelo Russell, a full mid-level for Dennis Schroeder. But again, none of these negotiations have happened at this point. So, you know.
Those are the ones that you hear like the second free agency.
The second free agency starts.
It's just too straightforward. It's
they came to a deal so fast.
Like, man, they just, you know what it is? They sent him a text. Hey, will you accept this? Yes. And then, all right, tell Shams. There we go.
Speaking of point guards, Chris Paul, as we go rapid fire here, Chris Paul reaffirming that he wants LA. This is a report that came out last night. He's determined, reportedly, to play in LA, where his family is, where he's based on. Look, I don't blame him. He's a veteran. He's played for a long time in this league. He's one of the best point guards we have ever seen in the NBA. And now Chris Paul wants to be close to family. Fine, more power to him. But that means he wants to be as close to LA as possible and preferably play for one of the LA teams. Donnie, I don't see Chris Paul as necessarily a fit for our Lakers. If you're talking a veteran minimum, I can't quibble much over that, but I don't see his skill set as necessarily a fit. But maybe a return to the Clippers could make some sense for him.
Yeah, he's not a guy that I think the Lakers need, unfortunately, because they've got just LeBron, they've got Luka, they've got Austin. It's just a lot of ball handling already there. Could you maybe use another guy to help you in case one of those guys goes down for a period of time? Sure, right? Mm-hmm. But Chris was actually still really good last year. I mean, he put up 9 points, 7.5 assists, played all games for the Spurs, all 82, 28 minutes a game, 38% from three. Like he's still able, got a steal and a half. He's still able to help you and impact your team. And I do think I actually would like him on the Clippers. It's funny because the Clippers have been like looking for a point guard for forever. And Harden in a big way was that for them this year. I thought Harden was awesome, but adding him to the team would be pretty cool for them to have like another backup stable point guard coming in off the bench, presumably for Chris Paul and the Clippers. And it's a bit of a homecoming for him too, a team he had played for before. And I'm sure he would probably get, a standing ovation every night that he's out there and all that stuff. And then also with this, he's going back with James Harden and all that stuff. I think there's some familiarity with the organization and some of the players on the roster. So it just makes a lot of sense. Again, because while, like I said, I could see him going to LA, but I just don't think they need him in particular. So the other LA team probably is a better bet.
If he needs to be near LA, then you'd be talking. I mean, Sacramento does need a point guard. I think they
no. They're heavy linked to Dennis.
Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder is probably already doing kick flips in Sacramento right now. But he has got. You've got what? Phoenix is a 6-hour drive, if that 5-hour drive, really, from LA. Mm-hmm. There might be a few other options
too, but
Golden State, sure,
he's going back there, but he's already done that.
All right, one player that is returning to their team, Davion Mitchell, back to the Heat on a 2-year deal. Now, he's a guy who I think would have made a lot of sense for a number of teams in free agency, but was going to be a restricted free agent, and so makes sense. 2-year, $24 million contract for Davion Mitchell. Really strong defensive guard, can sometimes struggle shooting the ball, but did shoot better with the Miami Heat this season. So I think a solid deal to return to the Miami Heat, and a deal that makes sense for all parties because, frankly, restricted free agency can be really brutal, particularly in this market with so little cap space out there available. So Davion Mitchell come to terms with the Miami Heat made a lot of sense here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a good retention, in terms of the player staying there. So good pickup. Don't really have a lot to say. Need Miami to get their guys going.
The Detroit Pistons were rumored to be heavily involved trying to get Naz Reid from the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Wolves, though, once again, for the second time in the last few years, striking fast to make sure that Naz Reid doesn't even get on the trade market or doesn't even get on the free agent market. They signed him to a 5-year, $125 million deal, which I think is okay value. It makes me wonder about what some of the ramifications are going to be on the rest of their roster. I think that pushes us closer to Nickeil Alexander-Walker leaving the Wolves. I think Julius Randle's going to get a new deal, and that is, according to Jake Fisher, the expectation. Meanwhile, the Pistons are going to pivot to Santi Aldama. Now, the challenge being that he's a restricted free agent as well. And that's with the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, though, have been clearing space in order to give a renegotiate and extend deal to Jaren Jackson Jr. So Memphis, though, with Santi Aldama, they really want to keep him. They want to hang on to him. They just traded away Desmond Bane. They don't want to move on from Aldama. So that'll be something to monitor. Can they pry Santi Aldama away from Memphis? And the Pistons, another team to show interest in Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So right now we have the Pistons. We have the Spurs. Of course, the Wolves would like to bring Nickeil Alexander-Walker back, and a sign-and-trade scenario with the Atlanta Hawks, among other teams. It really does feel like Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the most sought-after free agent right now on the market.
Yeah, I think one way or another, he's going to wind up getting probably a full MLE.
Yep.
Or getting that or getting sign and trade somewhere. Who knows? But ultimately, yeah, he's the guy that I think most teams are coveting and looking forward to. It's not a very strong class in general. And I think that he kind of played his way into a bigger contract overall. And then on Santi, I think that'd be a great pickup. Firstly, I think Memphis should try to keep him, but I think that'd be a great pickup if they went for him. He's a good spacing big, 7-footer, rebounds a little, play makes a bit. Not much of a defensive guy, but I do like him a lot.
Yeah, he's a guy that I think would fit in a lot of places. But again, the Grizzlies focused on keeping Jaren Jackson Jr., and I do think they'll try to ward off any deals for Santi Aldama. So, like I said, a lot going on right now around the NBA. Trade market still going. We're still expecting to see more moves there, but obviously free agency kicking off in, what is it, about 48 hours here. We're going to have about 48 hours from right now as we're recording this. We're going to expecting free agency to get going here. Deals will start to come through. Remember, they can't be signed and made official until July 6th. But nonetheless, busy time of year around the NBA. A lot of stuff going on. The Celtics want a fortune for Derrick White. They might be flipping Anthony Simons. Chris Paul wants to go back to LA. We've got Ty Jerome leaving Cleveland. Lonzo Ball on the move. The Chicago Bulls doing Bulls things. Kangs East is what we're going to start calling the Chicago Bulls. My goodness.
I got to ask you, though, real quick, when free agency opens, on the spot, who is the Lakers' first signing?
Timofey Mozgov. God, that was such an awful night.
We need to where are they now for Timo? I need to see what he's been up to. I haven't heard him in a while. But who is it? Is it going to be Brooke? Is it
Clint Capella?
It's Clint.
Clint Capella. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think he seems very likely.
Yep.
Aside from their own guys, of course, they have a couple guys to retain. So.
That's right. Yeah, we'll get an answer on Dorian Finney-Smith. By the way, Dorian Finney-Smith and Bobby Portis mentioned as two as the more intriguing candidates out there on the market. Both of them with player options, but it seems like both of them are trying to get more years out of their current teams, being the Bucks and the Lakers. So two guys to keep an eye on if their incumbent teams aren't willing to give them the years or the dollars that they're looking for in free agency. All right, everybody, we're going to keep you up to date on everything going on around the NBA. So make sure you do subscribe right here to the channel. We're so thrilled with how many people have hit that subscribe button so far here and the growth that we've seen here at the Basketball Bulletin. We're appreciative of all of you for hanging out with us. So again, hit that button if you haven't done so yet. And we can't wait to see what the next few days are going to bring. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.